Basically, I've been doing my eyes before I pop on the foundation, since it is a powder foundation, so it's much easier to clean up, obviously, on clean skin if there is any fallout from the eyes. But I will pop some brightening concealer on to start off. This is the Maybelline Fit Me concealer in number 15. Unfortunately, they don't have the correlating foundation shade in Ireland, which is a shame. The lightest one I think they do here is the 120. And I think the 115, they have a 115 and 110 I believe in the States, but I really wish that we had the lighter ones because I've heard so many good things about the foundation. I just can't wear it because it's way too dark. Then as a quick all over base, and this is super inexpensive, it's a Catrice product, it's the Made to Stay highlighter pen, but I literally have been using this all over the lid and not just say on the inner corners and under the brow bone where you'd normally highlight. It does set quite well, and it does work quite nicely as a highlighter obviously, but it works really nicely as a base. So I wouldn't like put this all over and leave it as it is. I think it might just be a little bit too much highlight everywhere for my own taste, but I love it as a base, and I do quite like to use highlighter bases underneath matte eyeshadows. It almost gives it just a really subtle lift sometimes if they're not too heavy or opaque on top. So the next step is one I do a lot, especially before applying my eyeshadow, and it's to pop loads of black coal in on the inner waterlines, top and bottom. And I'm just smudging some into the lash line as well, more so just on the outer bottom half first. It can be kind of hard to get it in between the hairs, but you can use your brush in a minute to do that. And then I'm going to pop it, say, on the top 2/3 of the outer half. Don't worry about it being too neat yet, because this will be covered with some eyeshadow anyhow. And then get a trusty cotton bud and then just smudge that out. Make sure you work it right into the lash line as well, into the lash bed, so you don't have that line in between, like that negative space in between your lashes and the liner. You can smudge underneath the lower lash line as well. If you like to curl your lashes and you haven't already done so, now's the time to do it. Normally I actually like to do it before I apply any eye makeup. This is just so I don't get too much gunk on the actual curlers, and they're easier to clean and stuff like that. But for the inner corner, I've been wearing pink a lot lately. So I'm going to go with this gorgeous lilac shade from this beautiful Kiko Colour Sphere Eye Duo. It's number 108. I got this when I was in London recently. I do tend to like to start with the lighter shadows first and then move on to the darker shadows so that I can actually just use the same brush without having to use a gazillion brushes. It's just kind of habit now at this stage, but just give yourself that gorgeous highlight. It doesn't have to be pink, whatever colour you like. I love the pink because it really works well with my eye colour. And next I'm going to go in with my dark colour. So I'm going to use this palette, and this is a mud palette or Makeup Designery. I have Canyon, Chamois, Taupe and Espresso. Espresso is a lovely colour. It's just a really, really intense warm brown. I'm going to go into the Taupe first though, and I'm just going to first of all, with a kind of a pencil style brush, I'm going to run this underneath the lower lash line. And honestly, when I wear this lately, I'm not like too particular about application. I just kind of plonk it on. You do kind of get used to doing these looks quickly, but obviously if you're not used to it, you can take a bit longer doing it. And I loved that smoked out look underneath the lower lash line. It's good to have a clean blending brush then, and you can blow out the edge. And using the same brush, I'm applying the top above my crease. Again, I'm just kind of plonking it on. You can see there it's not going on too carefully because, like I said, these are the kind of looks I'm doing when I'm just on a day-to-day kind of want to wear something nice without spending too long on it. And then switch to my blending brush and blow out the edge. Because it's not like the darkest brown, it's quite an easy one to smoke out. Then I'm going to go into the darker colour, which is Espresso. I'm just packing that onto the top lid. So by really bouncing it in place and packing it on, you get the best colour payoff. And then I just lightly blend it in with the inner corner. And then just kind of using the tip of the brush, I'm going to apply a tiny bit more of that darker colour just into the crease and extending a little bit above the crease. Be careful not to bring it down too far on the outer corner either. I don't want to drag the eye down. And then I'm going to hop straight back into my clean blending brush and then just kind of blow that out. And that's honestly fine, like that'll do me now for, I won't worry about it being much more perfect than that. I don't really need to use a separate highlighter. The only other thing I would do maybe is get an angled brush and pop that into the darkest colour and then just literally press that right into the lash bed of your lower lash lines. This just adds a lovely intensity to the look. I really love the definition it adds. So that's pretty much it. I just love the contrast of the matte brown against the lovely light shimmery pink. Now I'm going to use one of my favourite mascaras at the moment, and this kind of shocked me at how good it was. It's the Essence I Love Extreme. It is a very inexpensive mascara. Essence is like in pennies here in Ireland. It's a really cheap but good makeup brand. It's the sister brand to Catrice. This is a crazy volume mascara. What's cool about it is the wand is almost identical to the new MAC in Extreme Dimension wand, and honestly it's just as good. This is fantastic. I've been wearing it loads lately, and even with one coat you get such a good result from it. And then just pop, you don't even, it's almost like you don't really need to put on that much for it to come out amazing. And then at the price tag of like €2 something, you could repurchase this to your heart's content. And then if you do want to apply a second coat, the trick is to make sure you apply it just before it dries, but when it's not too wet. So it's almost that in between stage. So just before it does set. Okay, so now you just quickly clean up any mess underneath the eye. I'll just use the brush that I used to apply the concealer for this, and then I'm going to apply a little bit of my MAC Mineralized concealer. That Fit Me concealer I do like just for evening out, but I need something a little bit stronger, a little bit deeper almost, with, even though this is an NW by MAC, it still kind of has enough of yellow in it. Like the NW concealers, some of them aren't really that W, they're not really that warm or pink, but this has enough yellow in it that it will counteract my purple. But I love the Mineralized concealer, I think it's fantastic. The skin is super easy to do, but I do start off by blotting off any excess oil. So I have these brilliant blotting sheets, oil blotting paper that I got in the makeup store in London. There's other brands that do it. I think Japanesque do the similar ones. And then of course you have like the Body Shop or the Boots ones or the MAC blotting papers. Just make sure that whatever blotting paper you get is powder free. You want just the sheets that absorb the oil without adding any product. Just make sure I remove any excess oil from my face, because when you're using a powder foundation you want to make sure that it's going onto a relatively dry surface so that it doesn't clump up. And then I don't like to use discontinued products here for these kind of videos if I can, but I only really recently found out that this Vichy Mineral Taunt powder foundation was discontinued. There are still a few available of old stock in pharmacies if you go looking for them, so if you can get your hands on them, do. I did get one backup of my Opal, so I'm so delighted for that. But I think once that's gone, I'm going to just move on to the MAC Mineralized loose powder one. I just got very used to this Vichy one and the colour is bang on. I really love it. But I like to use a brush like this. This is the Expert Face Brush by Real Techniques. I like that it's quite well packed, actually, quite tightly packed. I just tap a little bit onto a tissue on my work table in front of me and then brush it into place. So I don't worry too much about a few red bits or like blemishes and stuff showing throughout the day. I'm not looking for perfection here. It's just to kind of even it out and make it look decent, a little bit decent. And I really don't apply too much product to my forehead. It's one of like my clearest areas, so only really apply it where you need it. And then I do like to pop some down the centre of my nose and work it into the sides of the nose. Now the nose I find is one place where it can tend to cake up, especially around the sides, and particularly if I didn't remove enough of the excess oil, because my nose is my oiliest area. I'm actually quite normal to dry everywhere else, and I have been getting quite dry in some areas. I'll just add a second kind of layer over anywhere that's particularly red. If I see any really kind of annoying spot, I will literally get some onto the tip of my finger and put loads of it in place, and then I'll just buff out the rest of it. Like I said, I don't mind if there's a little bit of redness shown through, but I will pop a little bit extra on to the bad areas. Okay, eyebrows have either just been brushed into place with the clear gel, or I've been popping a little bit of a Catrice eyeliner, or eyebrow pencil rather, and I just run a little bit of that lightly through just the outer half. The inner section is fine. Maybe at night time I do fill in the inner section, or if I want to look really polished for work, but otherwise it's just really this outer tail. And then the trusty brow gel. This is the Lash Brow, this is the Lash Brow Designer actually by Catrice. I just love it because of the unique brush. It's like a toothbrush kind of. So this is fantastic. Again, Catrice is the sister brand to Essence, like I said, but it's like the ever so slightly more expensive, but still extremely affordable. I kind of like to hop onto my lips, you know, next, before I decide what to do with my cheeks, because I mightn't want to do too much with my cheeks once the lips is on, or are on. For the day, I can be a little bit lazy when it comes to using lip primer and stuff like that. I nearly always use it, especially if I'm in work or going out, but when I'm in a hurry, I literally just try and pop on some lipstick if I can. Now, I know I really don't have a very nicely defined lip line, so I will pop this on quickly and then slow down with a brush just to do the outline. But this is a Wet and Wild colour. It's number 907C. It's this gorgeous kind of, I don't know, dusky pink colour. Socolum 79, or Heather from Socolum 79 sent it to me ages ago, and I literally only used it for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and I love it. So I'm just going to pop that all over. Just going to work some of this onto my lip brush. This is a MAC 316 lip brush. Again, I'm not really looking for perfection here. Normally I would, but this is me really thinking when I'm trying to get stuff done quite quick. Okay, so that'll do for the lips, and then literally quickly just to finish off with the cheeks, I haven't been doing much. A little bit of bronzer, kind of worn as a blusher. So this is a Rimmel bronzing powder that I resurrected. I was using this a lot a couple of years ago, and then it just kind of fell to the back of my collection because of other ones. But this is a lovely light bronzer for anyone who's quite fair. I was going to say pale and fair, and I got confused. And I kind of just apply it where I would my contour, and then up onto the cheek as well. So it's like a bronzer and a blusher in one. I don't really want to add too much colour, and I don't want to spend all day adding or blending. And that's pretty much it. That is the makeup look finished. So it kind of leaves me a bit of a sheen to the skin, and I like that. It almost looks like a liquid, even though it's powder. So that's the look totally finished. I would give myself maybe about 10 minutes, just over 10 minutes to start this look from start to finish. It's one that I just lob on and I get it done really quickly, and like I said, I'm not too careful about it, so I find it doesn't take me that long. It's good when you're in a hurry, and it's kind of my go-to look at the moment, and I really like it. So there will be a list of all the products used on my Let's Makeup blog as usual, and in the meantime I'll talk to you really soon for my next video. So long, guys.